Welcome back to some more sports coverage. Yesterday was a particularly busy double quiz day for me at school here, and we were just depleted from energy to record the NFL tier list when I got back. But I have my top 10 teams today. I have trade coverage. I've got whitewater paddling coverage later coming in this video for the first time, and we'll just jump right into it. So starting here with top 10 teams. We've got number 1, the Lions. Yes, I'm reluctant to put the Lions particularly high after getting steamrolled by the Packers, but I can't deny the results on the field. Since they got destroyed week 1, this team has been the most consistent in the NFL. Their defense looks particularly strong. They've had favorable luck with injuries. It all seems to be going well in Detroit. And they've won 4 in a row. Longest win streak in the NFL, I think. And, well, tied for the longest win streak, of course. But I just trust this team moving forward. And they seem to be improving steadily, which is something I really value. They'll take on the Chiefs this Sunday. And I've got them at number 1. Number 2, I have the Bills, who lost this week to the Patriots. It was a 23-20 loss. Drake May really had a breakout game. This was one where he looked really comfortable, made some incredible athletic throws. I mean, he's throwing to bums and Stephon Diggs out there and making it look great. The Bills, they've gotten a little sloppy after some of their early season wins. So that's really what has kind of capitulated into this now. They looked careless against Miami. They still won. They looked sloppy against New Orleans. And the Josh Allen turnovers finally got to him. The fumbles and the interceptions, which he didn't have at the start of the season. He looked really, really good. And they're getting sloppy. I think they'll figure it out, and I trust this team. Maybe this loss is a bit of a wake-up call. But they've certainly got some spots to improve on. Number 3, I have the Eagles, who I had at number 2 last week. This team lost to the Broncos. They were up 14 points in the fourth quarter, and the Broncos came back and won. Pretty remarkable to see the comeback from the Broncos. And while the Eagles lost, I still have them high. I can't deny 4-1. I think this team is very well-rounded. I think at times they're a little bit too conservative, a little bit too game manager style football. But as the season goes on, as this team clicks more and more offensively, Hurts has not really had to throw the ball coming from behind. We saw that, I guess, against the Rams, and they looked really, really strong in that performance. So I think that they can play in those kinds of games. I think that this game particularly was just the Broncos having a great comeback. So that's where I'm really valuing that one. But I do still have them at 3. Number 4, I have the Buccaneers. This Buccaneers team beat the Seahawks on a wild game, maybe the best game of the weekend, one of the best games of the weekend. There were some great ones. But it was, I think, a 38-35 victory. The game ended with the Buccaneers defense making a stop, and it was a lucky deflection to an interception play that, just gave the ball back to the offense to kick the game-winning field goal. So Baker right now maybe in front for the MVP. He's certainly up there. They've been absolutely firing. It seems like the concern for me, though, is that every game is close. Every game is hold on to your hats. You don't want them to fly off in the wind. This team it's moving forward, but it's certainly a little shaky and a little rocky. I just think that they're too talented on the offensive side, and it seems like every time the defense needs to step up and make a stop, they have been able to do so thus far. So I'm keeping them there at 4. Number 5, I have the Colts. I'm high on the Colts. They're 4-1. They absolutely obliterated the Raiders this week. My Colts players in fantasy have been doing great. Thank you, Tyler Warren. But this team was one that was counted out, that was doubted, and right now they're tied for the best record in the AFC with the Bills and the Jaguars. They have been fantastic. They've been great running the ball, working in play action. Daniel Jones has been fantastic. This offensive line is just tremendous with Quentin Nelson up there at guard. They've just got a complete unit. They've got Jonathan Taylor good tight end play, as I said, Tyler Warren. Michael Pittman's been solid as a receiver. They've been well-rounded. The defense maybe has been shaky in some of their tougher games, which is, can you really ask Daniel Jones to go win you a game? Maybe not. But this team is 4-1, and they're really good. They're a very good team. They're poised to lead that division over there. So I think they're fighting with the Jaguars. I think they're in the same division. I might be wrong on that one. Number 6, I have the Packers. They were off this week. What I said last week continues to be true. They're off. I think they're going to get a couple guys back from injury. Some guys will get a little healthier as well. I think that this Packers team has maybe the highest ceiling of anyone in the NFL, and their floor is a mid-level team. So we've gotten a mix of that through the start of the season. 6 may be a little high for them, but just with how good this team has been, I can put the Colts ahead of them for looking great, but I'm not sure that I can drop the Packers a whole lot. I think that 6 is pretty safe. With Jordan Love, with Josh Jacobs, who was a little banged up 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys and their 40-40 tie. This defense needs to get its head back on straight. They looked so good against the Lions week 1, and then the defense is just kind of shaken a little bit more. And then the offense has had some rough moments as well. So I need consistency out of this team. I like Matt LaFleur coming out of the bye. They're still in contention for the Super Bowl, one of the best teams in the NFC. Number 7, I have the Jaguars. We got the vintage Jacksonville Jaguars moment this weekend on Monday Night Football. That was just a fantastic game. I turned on the game in the fourth quarter after studying for a while, and just the last drive was incredible. Trevor Lawrence was counted out last year. This year, he stepped back up. He's been a little bit more game manager style. They've ran the ball well with ETN. But you've just got the signature moment of the season so far for the Jaguars, where Lawrence falls down, gets back up, and breaks a tackle from a defender going into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. It was just fantastic. The defense, 99-yard pick 6 as well from Devin Lloyd. I think that this Jaguars team was able to come from behind. They were able to score with the game on the line. Lawrence looked comfortable. They found a mix of run and pass. I think that's been really, really good. And they're 4-1. So I've got them at number 7. All right, number 8, I have the Rams. Rams are 3-2. They lost against San Francisco, who I do not have in my top 10. I will preface this. I think they had so many chances to win against San Francisco. It went to overtime. The Rams are just a couple of plays away from being 5-0. And with the historic season from Puka Nacua, how good the offense has looked, I can't put them any lower than 8. So I think this team looks really strong. They're going to take on the Ravens this week, who have been horrifically terrible. Hopefully Lamar will come back. I still probably won't start him in fantasy until I see a little more. But the Rams, they've got a couple easier games ahead. They're going to have to beat the 49ers at the end of the season. But so far, they've been very strong. Broncos at 9. I'm jumping the Broncos up inside the top 10. Had them just outside last week at 2-2. They beat the Eagles in a fantastic come-from-behind victory. Bo Nix looked great in the fourth quarter. He, again, has been a quarterback where I've got questions about, okay, what is his ceiling? Can you expect him to go win you a game? And he did win the game. They ran the ball well with Dobbins. They got the 2-point conversion, and they're going to destroy the Jets this weekend. So I've got the Broncos there at 3-2, and the real thing for the Broncos against some of the other 3-2 teams is their defense. Their defense was able to get critical stops. They held the Eagles under 50 yards rushing between Hurts and Barkley. It was a defensive masterclass. They might have the best defense in the NFL, up there at least with it, even though they were a little shaky at the start. And I'll throw the Seahawks in there at number 10. Another 3-2 team. I have the Broncos ahead because of their defense. Sam Darnold looked great, throwing four touchdowns in this one. He did have that unlucky interception that basically handed the game away. Threw for over 300 yards, though. And Darnold has been better than Geno Smith. People were hesitant about it, skeptical about it. We've seen what Geno's done in Las Vegas. he's certainly not been the greatest. But Darnold has been good. He's been a really solid quarterback. This Seahawks team is going to be they've got a couple of tough games ahead against the rolling Jaguars this weekend, and then the Texans, who are back on track as well. I think that this team will be tested in the next few weeks, but I really like their offensive upside. Jackson Smith-Njigba looks like a top 10 receiver, maybe top 5 receiver. He's, I think, second or third in yards this season. He's been fantastic. And they've got a great running back duo with Walker and Charbonnet. I think having 2 running backs is going to allow you to go farther this season, kind of split your workload up. But that's going to be my top 10. Lions, Bills, Eagles, Bucks, Colts, Packers, Jags, Rams, Broncos, and Seahawks. Teams I'm leaving out. I'm leaving out the Commanders. I know they smoked the Chargers, and Jaden Daniels is back, but they're 3-2, and I think the Chargers have really started to fall apart. So I have the Commanders in there at 11. I just couldn't throw them ahead of the Broncos or Seahawks, who have particularly impressive wins and have been really competing well with some of the top teams. I know I dropped the Chargers way out, guys, but it's early season. Things are chaotic. This list can change, and really any of these teams in the top 20 could jump in next week. So there's a lot of really solid play around. Kansas City's way outside, and anyone else? Yeah, the Chargers are outside, Steelers are outside, but we'll have some more NFL stuff later this week. Talk about the Thursday night game tomorrow. So let's move it on to an NFL trade that happened yesterday. The Bengals traded a 5th round pick for Joe Flacco and a 6th round pick from the Browns. So they've thought that Jake Browning was horrible, and he's playing maybe behind the worst offensive line in the National Football League. So my question is Joe Flacco going to be any better? I mean, you look at all the backup quarterbacks you could have gotten. Maybe Jameis, maybe Russell Wilson. Maybe you don't want Russell Wilson. Maybe go after Malik Willis for the Packers. I don't know. I don't know who you go for in the backup position, but Joe Flacco is the best you could have settled on. I mean, poor Joe Flacco. I think he's going to be bull rushed out there. And my question is, Joe Flacco was probably an upgrade to Browning, but I don't know about this offensive line. And to me, you're not giving up a whole lot. It's a 5th round pick. You're getting a 6th back. If Flacco wins you a few games before Burrow comes back, it doesn't look like Browning's going to win you diddly squat out there. So to me, it's worth the trade, but I don't know about Flacco, and I don't know that this really changes much for your season. It seems like a relatively hopeless season in my mind. You're going to have to draft an offensive tackle come the draft, and the defense needs major help too. There's so many issues for the Bengals. It's not like just trading for a different quarterback is going to solve them. So personally, I would have cleaned house or really tried to get some more draft capital for the future, get some young players. But they're going for Joe Flacco to try to salvage the season. We'll see if it works. I'm not a complete hater here. I just think that there's too many other problems where, while the Joe Burrow deal was not bad by any means, I don't know that it really helps you win more than a couple of games. Now, if it wins you 3 or 4 games, if you go 500 with Flacco in there, that's a win as Burrow comes back, because Browning is not going to do that. So, yeah, let's jump into the next topic. We're going to talk about whitewater paddling. So, not sure if any of you know much about whitewater paddling, but a new boat came out this week, the Jackson Antix 3. And the Jackson Antix 2 was one of the most hyped half-slice boats when it came out at the time. This Antix 3, I really didn't even see anything about it until I saw a Dane Jackson video yesterday paddling it. And I was like, what in the world? I didn't see social media stuff. I didn't see a whole lot of promo. I think they're just starting to get the promo out, and boats are going to start shipping in November. So I'm just going to talk about the specs here for a few minutes. But the Antix 2, we're going to compare with the Antix 2 the specs. So Antix 2 is 8 feet long. This Antix 3 is also 8 feet long. The Antix 2 is 26.25 inches. This one is 26.5 inches. So slightly wider. And if you paddled the Antix 2, you would already know that that boat was wide. Dane explained that they gave this one bigger rails. They gave it more, I think, more length on the side as well, so maybe more stability, but larger rails. The Antix 2 already had large rails. I can't imagine what the 3 is going to have. It is 67 gallons rather than 66 and 40 pounds, so a little bit lighter. But to me, the big difference here, the big difference is in the width. I know it's only 1/4 inches. The rest of the boat relatively stayed the same. It's got a little bit more volume and a little bit more width. So that means that you're going to have larger rails. I think they said there's more rocker in the front. This boat didn't look like it stern squirted as well as the Antix 2. So I'm interested to see. I mean, the Antix 2, in my opinion, was one of the best half slices on the market. It was the most playful. I still have one. I love the boat. I can get it vertical basically in flat water. And I'm a solid but not incredible paddler by any means. So I would want to see average paddlers paddling this Antix 3 and see what their thoughts are. I didn't think that the boat needed a whole lot of improvement. They put more rocker in the bow. I guess they wanted more of a big water style boat. They said it's faster. I'm not sure how I see faster. If it's wider, has bigger rails and more rocker and it's the same length, I don't know. But, you know, we'll see. That's what they're claiming. So we'll talk about that boat more as more information comes out. The next thing I wanted to talk about was North Carolina college football. I know we're jumping back and forth between, so this will be a longer video, but that's okay. So UNC is in some trouble. They're at 2-3. They got absolutely manhandled and rocked by Clemson this weekend. And the players and the coaches are really starting to blame the leadership, which seeing a team implode like this in college football in week 6 is certainly surprising. There's 70 new players that were on this team this year. Belichick brought in a bunch of transfers. Of course, they got a bunch of guys recruiting. And Belichick is, from the reports that I've read, it's all been about the individual focus. He has been focused not only on himself, but also the whole part of this has been, we're going to get all these individual guys, we're going to pay them a bunch of money, but there's been no focus on actually building a team nucleus. There's no camaraderie. There's no collective shared identity on this team. They don't really have an identity on either side of the ball. They can't stop the run or the pass. They can't move the ball on offense. It looks rough. And this is really evidenced by the fact that they've given different players different benefits with the team. So certain players, their families have field access or parking passes or extra tickets for every game. And that's going to create inequality. I don't know what the Tar Heels are really thinking in that regard. There's also been a lack of accountability for the players. Players will miss lifts, they'll miss team meetings, there's not a whole lot of discipline. Belichick doesn't really seem to have things under control. One source said, quote, he has not talked or had a conversation with most guys on the defense. He's a defensive-minded coach. And, quote, they don't even have his phone number. That is concerning. How are you supposed to build a defensive identity? How are you supposed to have your guys listen to you, to really follow you? In college, it's about being a leader and a mentor just as well as a coach. These guys aren't professionals. It's not the Patriots anymore. And apparently nobody likes him in terms of the players or coaching staff. He's been wildly underwhelming, self-focused. Maybe you could have seen that with the 25-year-old girlfriend, but it's been a disaster in Carolina. So they've got to figure some things out. I'm not sure that I was super hopeful for this team. I thought that maybe they would make a bowl game. They'd be comparable to what Mac Brown did last year at 6-6. But this is just horrible. I mean, they probably will not make a bowl game. They're sitting basically at the bottom of the ACC. They have, I think they're 0-1 in the ACC. They haven't played as many games as Boston College, who's 0-3 for ACC play. But it's the worst conference start in school history. So it's been horrible. It's been horrible for them. And I'm not sure that it's going to get much better. It only seems like things are teetering down and down and down. And one more topic I wanted to cover was Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. This one, they announced it, I think, last Thursday, maybe. It was last week that they announced Bad Bunny was playing for the Super Bowl, and it created some controversy. I'm currently in a Spanish-speaking country, so this one felt particularly close to home. But I think Bad Bunny is certainly an interesting choice. They went with Kendrick last year for rap. Bad Bunny's music, the thing is, none of it is in English. And most people in the United States do not speak Spanish. So, in my opinion, that alone is an interesting choice, despite all the political controversy or comments that Bad Bunny has made. I think, the NFL has really pushed for having Spanish broadcasts. They've got the NFL Mexico Instagram pages and social media coverage where they do everything in Spanish. Maybe they're looking to grow their Spanish audience, and maybe it's a marketing move that the rest of us don't see. But I think that there is going to be some extra controversy, as the president has already made statements about it. And I wonder if it's even... Right now, it seems like it's going to happen. The NFL's talked about it. I wouldn't be shocked if there's some serious pressure that comes on it in a few weeks. But that's going to be it for today. A lot of talking, a lot of different topics. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you back again tomorrow for Thursday morning.